bring in draft analyst Matt Miller in your latest mocky of the Pats trading out of that number 3 pick with the Vikings, who then move up and take Drake May. How did you land there?
Yeah, and it's just like Dan said, if you don't love quarterback 3 in this class, this is a unique opportunity to trade back and get some of that draft capital that will be needed to build up a roster. I've said before, this is the worst offensive roster that I've seen in the NFL, at least on paper. There's one guy on the offensive line that you feel like is a plus starter. That's the right tackle. They don't have a number 1 wide receiver. They don't have Hunter Henry's a fine tight end. He's not one of these elite game-changing tight ends. So if you're New England and Caleb Williams is gone, Jaden Daniels is off the board already, I think that's where you have the conversation of, do we trade back? And unfortunately, we won't know until we're about 20 minutes into the draft in Detroit who is going to be on the board. So New England has to be very proactive about setting the table for some of these trade parameters now, so that if they don't like the quarterbacks who are there at number 3 overall, then they can make those calls to a Minnesota, to a Denver, maybe even the New York Giants as teams that would like to come up and select a quarterback.
Yeah, there's been a lot of chatter about them maybe really liking McCarthy. We do know they've signed Jacoby Brissett. So Mina and Dan. Dan first. They have the luxury, obviously, a young quarterback sitting there behind Brissett. Should they take the best available quarterback at 3 or trade down and build up their roster?
If they have any of those 3 quarterbacks rated as like top 10 picks, then you have to take them. The reality is it's way easier to build your roster than it is to find an elite high-level starting quarterback in the NFL. So if any of those 3 guys, whether it's the combination of Caleb, Jaden, and JJ, or a combination of Caleb, Jaden, and Drake May, you take that guy. Now, here's the questions that New England has to ask themselves. Number 1, what's their realistic time frame with expectation? Do they think they're closer to winning than maybe we do? Number 2, which one of the guys do they think is going to be the actual better pro over the long haul, not just the guy that can step in right now? And then 3, which one of those quarterbacks has the least to fix or to try to, if we get this corrected, he'll become a really good pro? I still think that if New England values one of those guys highly, you take them and you figure out the rest, whether they're going to play or not in the roster afterwards.
Yeah, I think Dan's assessment of the process is completely correct. What I would do is take a quarterback based on how I feel about this top 3, because I do feel all of the top 3, Williams, Daniels, and May, are worthy of top 3 picks. And while we never know what the next draft is going to be like, you remember this time last year, we certainly weren't talking about Jaden Daniels this way, so many things can change. At the moment, it does look like a weaker class than this one. As far as New England and their timeline, Dan and I have talked about this. We both feel that they should sit that quarterback, so I think it aligns with if May was the pick. You play Brissett, and then you can use the rest of your draft picks to work on building the offense. This is such a heavy wide receiver draft. I mean, there's so much talent. I also think they should be on the phone, calling the Bengals, maybe looking into a T. Higgins trade, calling San Francisco about Brandon Ayuk. Then you can focus on the offensive line. But whatever you do, you can take your quarterback. You don't have to play him immediately because you do have Jacoby Brissett, who's one of the better backups in the NFL.
Yeah, great.